Alright, so the purpose of this video is to teach you, the viewer, how to create a Twitter bot application using Python on Heroku. So this way you'll run this application or this app on Heroku for your Twitter bot. So this is Heroku. Heroku is a cloud platform that enables developers like you to run your application for either some indefinite period of time or just a short amount of time, depending on the type of account you get. So if you are a new Heroku user, please do sign up right here by clicking sign up and then just enter in everything down here, and you don't have to enter in a company name. Now I've already created my account, so I am going to log in into my Heroku dashboard. And the objective of this video, two videos, this is the implementation of deploying your app through Heroku just simply by connecting to your GitHub and deploying it. And then the second video is using your command line interface with Heroku and pushing all your changes to Heroku from your local repository. So there's two ways. So computer, local repository, GitHub, and then to Heroku. That's this video, and then there's to Heroku. Simply go pushing those the application to Heroku. That would be the second video. And so right here we see that Heroku enables all sorts of developers to run the application. So you have Heroku being available to Ruby, PHP, Node.js, Python, and so forth. And you see here that I do not have any apps. So this is personal and Teams. Okay, so I am on my personal account, and we're gonna start creating this Twitter bot app. So tweetpy-1234. This name is available, and I will use it to create my app. And then how Heroku runs everything while you're still maybe catching up. Heroku uses dynos, or simply these containers, to run your application. Now, depending on how large your application is, you would need several dynos, into which if you reach some threshold, you would have to go to a non-free account. But luckily, right now, we're running a application that certainly does not meet that threshold, and we use less dynos or less of these containers. And the reason why, we use Heroku is to run an application indefinitely. So say if we want to close our computer, go somewhere else, but we still want our application to run through, on some server. We have Heroku enabling us, the developer, to do so. And what was the other bit I would want to say? What Heroku does is enables developers to also enables developers to go and stray away from the difficulties of building up your infrastructure, like your server, to run your application. Heroku's already done that for you through creating this infrastructure as a service again, and all you need to do as a developer is just run your app and you're good to go, and all the interpretations are left for how you're going to run this application in one of three files. Your first file would be your script, and you can have several other files related to that, your application, your script. For us here, it would be a .py file, and then the second is the proc file. So this tells us, this tells the container of how the dyno container how to go through and run about and run an application. Is this application simply a web application, or is it something different? And then your third file is your requirements.txt file, and this file you'll see is just show we list out the dependencies that our application uses to successfully run. Yeah, so again, let's get started. I think you're caught up. So right here, you're going to connect to GitHub, and as your deployment method, right here you'll see overview, resource deploy, metrics, activity, access, and settings for your app. You're going to click deploy, and then you'll be there where I am at right now. Add this app to a pipeline. We're not going to do that. Deployment method. So there's 4 ways. For our instance, we are going to run our application by connecting to our GitHub repository. And from there the connection would be made, and Heroku gathers that information and deploys the application. Yes. And so if you go down, you would then see a button. Not down here. I'm already connected to my GitHub repository, but somewhere down this region, and you'll connect to GitHub. Click the button. Something will open up. Either first to enter in your GitHub credentials, do so, and then authorize for Heroku to use go through GitHub as a third party. Do that. Right now, I would look for my Twitter bot repository, and if I do search, unfortunately I would not have that repository, because if we go to GitHub, particularly my GitHub, my profile, and look at all my repositories, you'll see recently I do not have a Twitter bot repository. So we're going to also go about and creating this repository, remote repository, right now. And then right now you'll see that I have my Twitter account. So yeah, let's get started with creating this this application. So let me exit Laos, and here we go. So here I have bash. You can use command line as well, and hopefully you have Git installed on your computer. So right now I went to my directory of where I want to save this application, and if we do dir, we see that I don't have the folder that I want to start populating my 3 files in Twitter. So let's start by creating that folder. So mkdir, make a directory, TwitterBot, making a folder, TwitterBot demo. Let's do capital D. Okay. So for Mac users, you'll do ls, of course. For Windows users, dir. That's what you want to do to list out everything. cd Twitter bot demo, and then coming back, we'll be creating our application or anything related to the application. Then we'll create a proc file. This proc file again tells the dyno, okay, what type of process this is, in what language, and what am I going to be implementing. That's what the proc file is. And then lastly, you'll have your requirements.txt file, and then that would tell us what our dependencies are, and I will go a little bit more in discussion of that momentarily. But first, let's create our application. Let's just go to Sublime, and I'm gonna already save my Python file. documents. And then let's do Twitter bot.py. Okay, cool. And we're saving it in Twitterbot demo. Solid. So now let's get started with creating our application. Import tweepy, import JSON, and then we're going to lastly import time. These are the three main libraries you'll be using in your projects to run your application. In my case, I will only use tweepy, just because I'm showing a simple demo of how to run an application, and then the more of this focus of this demo is just how to work with Heroku, not actually how to implement or what to implement in your Twitter bot. So let's get started. Authorization equals tweepy dot authentication handler. Oh, you know, I forgot my my API keys and then my accesses keys and secrets to my API. So let me just find that right now momentarily. Okay. Alright, cool. And right here, alright, so right here we're going to create our consumer key equals that. Oh no, you found out where my consumer key is. Alright, my API key is for Twitter. Consumer secret equals that. And the reason why, again, we are using consumer key, consumer secret, and then access key, and then access secret is for our tweepy API module. So right now, let me just find the access token real quick. And if you have any questions about any part of this process, please feel free to Slack a classmate, help each other out. Then Slack either me or the other TAs, and then maybe an instructor if they're available. Or you can also look up resources online. That's your choice. And forgive me if I'm continuously looking up. I'm working on another monitor, but my camera's down here. Sorry. Okay, so now that I have my API keys, the consumer key, consumer secret, access key, and access secret, we are going to create our authorization to go and through this the Twitter API. So let's do this: consumer key, comma, consumer secret for authentication handler, and then auth dot set access token. We'll find that out if we get an error. Access key, comma, access secret, and then now we're going to do API equals tweepy module API caps authentication into the API, and then for the information we're going to receive, we would want to parse it into a JSON. Parser equals tweepy.parsers dot JSON. Let me actually double check. I think I do. I think I remember, but no. Tweepy authentication. Authentication. So let's find that out right now. Okay, it's good enough. Get access token. Set access token. Okay, cool. sweat. Yeah. Set access token, and that's about it. Yeah, let's just go with that. Okay, and then now we're going to do API dot update status for my profile right here, because this is all pertaining to my my profile and how I am going to interact with the Twitter API. Update status, running Heroku app, hashtag Heroku app, running Heroku application using hashtag Python test 1. Okay, cool. So here we have the gist of what we want, and so we created the consumer key, went through the authentication into the API, and then we're going to do API.update status. We're going to update our status through the API for our profile. Yeah, okay. That's pretty much it. And then maybe I should... No. So if I do dir right now, I see that I have my twitterbot.py, my application, available in my my folder, my local repository, soon to be remote repository. Okay, and then now we are going to do the second file that is necessary to run Heroku on our dyno or on our container. And then that will be a proc file. So echo, I'm just going to create it on the spot, echo worker Python, and then Twitter bot.py. So what I have here is this process we're going to go through is it's a worker, and it's going to run our application continuously. Usually there's a web : to run a web application for a website, and then so this is the process we'll be using in Python. And then how are we going to on what are we going to run this application using twitterbot.py. So let's do that by creating the proc file. There you go. And if you notice, I did proc file just like that. No proc file.txt, no proc file.md. Just because it's the requirement by your it's a requirement in Heroku. So now if I do dir directory, or and for Mac users again ls, you'll get a list of everything that's in your folder, or in your folder. So right now I have the proc file and the twitterbot.py, and again, this proc file, which is really important, enables Heroku to interpret what is exactly going on. So in the process, this worker process, we're using Python, and then running this application. You can have multiple lines in your proc file. So right now, if I open up, you can have several lines. That'd be for if your API is a little bit, or excuse me, if your application is a little bit more complex. You'll have several lines to run several implementations of Python. And then you can also have a database and have a web browser. So that's that there. Do I want to save changes? No. Okay, cool. Yeah, everything's safe. Cool beans. Okay, now so going back and seeing what I have, one more thing I need is my requirements.txt. Echo tweet. Okay. So before going into this, the requirements.txt lists our dependencies we're going to use in our application. Our only dependency here is tweetpy, right? And so imagine that tweetpy gets updated to version 5.0, maybe in the near future, future. So when running your Heroku application, in Heroku, your application will be run through the most updated module. And so we want to make sure that our applications does not become legacy anymore, doesn't become old anymore, and it fails to crash because we're trying to run our TweetPy module, and maybe some function, some method is deprecated or has like ceased to exist in this newer version of the module. So we want to make sure we want to use the respective version of TweetPy when running the application in Heroku. And the way we would find that out is we do a pip list or a pip freeze. And right now this pip list is running to see in my environment what libraries do I have in Python. You can see all this. I have so many because Anaconda has prepackaged all that for me. Thank you, Anaconda. So let's go down here to TweetPy. Yeah, right here. So we're using 3.6.0. Nice. Okay, yeah. So 3.6.0, that's the version of TweetPy we are using. Echo TweetPy =sign 3.6.0, and that's a double equal sign, by the way. And make sure you have no spaces in between. Push the button. Here and here. It's all together. And then this is going to be going into our requirements.txt file, dir, and then we see that we have our requirements.txt file. And if I open that up, my default editor, text editor is Notepad. Excuse me for that, maybe I should probably change that in the future. Alright, so if I open up requirements.txt, I in fact do see that I have my dependency and the version I wanted it to be in. Cool, all set. Now I would want to make this repository go into my remote repository, and if you remember, I don't have that, so let's start creating that. And just keep in mind, we still have that Heroku tab open, right? And then eventually we're going to find this repository that we're creating. Alright, so let's create this. Twitterbot demo. Okay, I like that. Hey, get over here. Twitterbot demo. I don't have that, and that's great. Showcasing Twitterbot in Python as a demo. Bad English. Showcasing Twitterbot in Python. This is. Sometimes I think I'm an English person, or I was the English major. Sometimes I think that. Anyways, I like writing essays. Anyways, the purpose of this application or this repository is to connect, is to run an demo application in Heroku. Okay, cool beans. Let's erase all that. Alright, so I'm not going to initialize README. I'm going to do that locally, and then I won't add a gitignore. I'm going to potentially do that locally. I'm just going to create the remote repository so that way I can get this link right here. HTTPS, I want to get this link. And, okay, cool. So now I would want to create my local repository and then eventually push all those changes I made in my local repository to GitHub. GitHub's right here, and then earlier I pointed Heroku's right here. Anyways, so if we look at the screen, git initialize I have not done yet. Git add readme, git commit, and then from there we add our remote, which is this right here, and then we push that upstream we initialize that upstream because when we add this git remote, we're only going in the case of we would want to pull everything, but we also need to establish our upstream because we have everything going through here, but we never establish pushes up there in the remote repository. So let's do that. Go here. Alright, so git initialize. Cool. So now if I do git status, I have 3 files. That's great. So git add dot, I'm gonna, instead of doing on several files, I'm just gonna stage everything by doing git add dot. That dot represents just going through and adding everything. And I want to do a git commit -m initialize application for Heroku. Okay, and if you notice here, I did 2 things at once. I did git add and then the git commit using that double ampersand. And then that's just to avoid git add dot and then git commit -m and then doing their quotes. I was just saving a step, I guess. It's not necessary to do that, but that's up to you if you'd want to just do that little trick. Okay, but now if I do git status, I see everything's good. If I do git log, by everything good for git status, I mean there's nothing that is not tracked by GitHub, excuse me, in Git. And now I did the git log to confirm that my commit has been made. Initialize application for Heroku. That's great. But I have these 3 files, but for my repository, I need to establish my README, right? So let's do that. Echo #Twitter bot demo for Heroku. So this is the line I would want to put inside my readme.md. Cool. So now if I do that, and I see that 4th file being there, my readme.md, git status. Cool. Git add. I'm gonna add that, or actually I'll probably do git add. And one. Git commit. And then this is the other approach. So you can do git add on one line and then git commit on the other line, but you can also do the double ampersand. Okay. So everything's clean, and I do git log. I see that I have 2 commits now. That's great, and we're just about done. So first, I want to check git remote-v. So this says list out not verbose what our git remote is, and if we saw that nothing was returned, it's because we didn't do git remote add origin. This is the alias for our remote repository. Once I paste right here, and then this is the remote repository. Enter. And then if I do git remote-v again, I see that I do have this fetch and push. That being everything being fetched and then pushed out. So we have the upstream and then also the downstream as well. Git, okay, so we have all that. So now I'm going to do git push origin master. And it's probably going to be here. Okay, probably not. Okay, cool. Resolving deltas. Okay, now if we go remote repository. Notice I didn't do that -u is because the upstream was already established. That's great. And if it wasn't, then you would just use this line after doing the git remote add origin, your GitHub remote repository URL. Alright, Control R for refresh, and we see that we have everything. Awesome. And now let's go back to Heroku. Great, so now we're back in Heroku. Now I'll look for Twitter bot, and then I'm going to search. Hopefully have this repository, and I see that I do have this repository, and right here, you'll click connect. Okay, and yeah, we're connected. And enable automatic deploys. So we have this choice of automatic deploys and manual deploys. Enables the chosen branch to be automatically deployed to this app. And then we would want to enable that. And then going up here, going into the resources, where is for a dyno, add a proc file to app or defense. Should have been added. So, okay, it's not there. So first, I will have to manually deploy this branch, because if I click enable automatic deploy, this will enable a chosen branch to be automatically deployed in this app, and I believe it's after you make those updates. Every push to a branch you specify here will deploy a new version of this app. Okay, and so we'll enable that. Masters are enabled. Okay, let's go here. And right now I expect to see my proc file coming up for my dyno, for my container. And it is not coming up. I don't know why. Weird. Let's do this. So I'm going to click up here. And, oh, sorry, up here. Right here. And I'm going to do run console. Heroku run. Let's see if that works. Doesn't. Okay. It's totally cool. I'm trying to see how to establish my profile. Yeah, look at actually. Let's just go through and manually deploy our branch, and then hopefully every time we make those pushes in GitHub, they'll be automatically made later on in the future. Right now we're building everything, and then just going through and building your application using proc file, and then everything is being run through this process from the web worker, and then it's going through some process through Heroku in this infrastructure, and translating everything and building your application, and it looks like it's ready to be deployed, and it was successfully deployed. That's great. And in this process, once everything is packaged and created as a slug, and then from there, that's how the slug then starts going through and implementing the application. Alright, application error occurred in application page. Server, application owner, check your logs for details. So let me check my log for detail, view logs. Dyno connect service, okay, that's not there. Okay. Oddly enough, our worker, okay. So our proc file is here now. Click edit. Click this slider right here, confirm. It's great, and then right now we should see our application running. Let's check the log again. Actually, no, it's run console. Heroku run. Did I spell Heroku right? I'm pretty sure. Attaching dyno. Attaching to dyno. I'm pretty sure the application already ran anyways. Let's see what we have in the blog. Twitter. Let's see what I have. So you can see my accounts, things who I want to follow. And for some reason, everything's running slow. Click home, application error, don't know why. I don't want to make So let's try deploying this again. Manually deploy. Build master, receiving code from Github, Python app detected, installing pip. Okay, there we go. Installing requirements with pip, discover process, process declare worker, compressing. You can check your phone if you want right now. It's up to you. Okay, app deploy, view. Okay, application error. The third, view logs. Apparently, I have an error with the code itself. JSON parsers has no attribute JSON. Shoot, well then. tweepy.parsers.json. Shoot, JSON parser. Okay, so sorry about that. So let's go back here. JSON parser. Okay. Okay, cool. Control S, and then it looks like I'm going to have to do this whole spiel again. Oh, sorry. So git status, see tracked changes that made, so I need to stage that. Git add dot and git commit typo fixed parser. Okay. Git push origin master going through. All those changes should be made. Great. So now if we look right now in our remote repository, 14 seconds ago, twitterbot.py was changed. Okay, great. Now let's go back to deploy. And since I had the automatic deploy on, everything should have been processed already. Let's check this out in viewing our logs. So let's see if application updated. Oh, you don't want to look at that. Check wants to hang out. Oh, hey! Apparently I ran my application earlier. Hey, but 4 seconds ago we have our Heroku, our application running on Heroku, and that's because I set every push to master will deploy a new version of this app. So I set those automatic deployments up, and I didn't have to go through and manually click deploy branch. And then again, notice resources. I had this toggle switched to on for my my proc file for the dyno, or for this container of this application. And this is the in summary, the gist of what we have done. So we created our Heroku application. We created our remote repository and have those 3 files or those requirements in our remote repository. And then from there, if you go to deploy, we connected to GitHub and then connected to our GitHub repository and then set our configurations, and then bam, luckily with hopefully no issues, your application will run through. And yeah, that's how you'll go through and run your own TwitterBot. Again, if you have any questions, you can ask other classmates in the Slack channel. You can ask me, other TAs, or the instructor, maybe an instructor. And now Later on, you'll see the how to go through Heroku in the command line interface.